Hello, welcome to IO Data Tutorials channel. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create amazing dashboards using Excel. By the end of this video, you'll have the skills to make your own impressive dashboards. We'll explore the cool features in Excel that make dashboards visually appealing and useful. Get ready to turn your data into valuable insights. Step 1, Data Investigation. As we look at our data, we see that it's all about orders. With lots of columns and rows, there's a wealth of information to explore. We have important details like customer name, category, city, sales, profit, and more. These details hold valuable insights that will fuel our analysis and help us create an informative dashboard. Let's dig into the data and see what we can discover. To extract the most important information from our dataset, we'll use pivot tables. Pivot tables help us summarize and analyze data in a flexible and customizable way. They allow us to organize and summarize data based on specific criteria, revealing patterns, trends, and key metrics. We'll create multiple pivot tables to gain different insights, such as sales by region, customer segment analysis, and product performance. By drilling down into these tables, we can extract valuable information to guide our decision-making and dashboard visualizations. Now, let's create a pivot table to demonstrate the process. Here are the steps. Select the data range. Choose the cells that contain the data you want to include in the pivot table. You can do this by clicking and dragging over the desired cells. In our case, we can select all the data by pressing Ctrl+A. Insert the pivot table, go to the Insert tab in the Excel ribbon and click on the Pivot Table button. This will open the Pivot Table Creation dialog box. Choose the data source. Select the location, decide where you want to place the pivot table. You can choose an existing worksheet or create a new one. In our case, we'll place the pivot table in an existing worksheet. Configure the table, drag and drop the desired columns into the designated boxes to include them in the pivot table. Start with the first column, then add the values. That's it. You've created your first pivot table. Let's also modify this. Excellent. Now, let me create title. Okay, perfect. After creating the pivot table, we can extract the data from it and transfer it to a separate table that we'll use for our charts. This allows us to work with the summarized and organized data from the pivot table in a more convenient format. That's perfect. Let's also modify this. The process is the same for creating other pivot tables. Now, I'll leave it to you to create the remaining tables. Let's move on to our next step. Step 2, establish a plan of action. Now, let's pause for a moment and imagine the final look of our completed dashboard. Visualizing the end result will give us a clear picture of what we're working towards. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to see your data transformed into a visually appealing and engaging dashboard. Let's continue with our tutorial and create an impressive dashboard together. Step 3, Dashboard Design. Now, let's work on creating the background for our dashboard. By selecting an appropriate background, we can enhance the overall user experience and make our dashboard more engaging and appealing. First, let's choose color for our header. That is fantastic. Next, let's choose color for our background. Excellent. Now that we completed that, we can move on to creating shapes. First, we need to click on the Insert tab in the Excel ribbon at the top of the window. In the Illustrations group, we will click on the Shapes button. Let's select the desired shape. Next, we will click and drag on the worksheet to draw the shape at the desired size and location. Release the mouse button to finalize the shape's placement. Excellent. Now it's time to customize our shape. Let's do that. I'm gonna need to change background color. Let's select the desired color. Perfect. Now, I'm gonna quickly create all other shapes. Step 4. Creating titles. Let's add a title to our dashboard. I would like also to change its font. Excellent. Now, let's start typing. Let's modify the color. That is awesome. Let me resize this. That's perfect. Step 5. Creating charts. Now, let's create KPIs for our dashboard. We'll start by inserting those nice icons that will represent each KPI. Once the icons are in place, we can proceed to add the corresponding values to complete the KPIs. To insert icons, we will first need to go to the Insert tab in the Excel ribbon. In the Illustrations group, we will click on the Pictures button. This will open a File Explorer window where we can browse for the image file that we want to insert. We will select the image file and click on the Insert button. Great, let me resize this. Excellent. I'm gonna place it here. Next, I'm gonna quickly copy this. That is fantastic. Now that we completed that, let's start creating KPI cards. To begin, we will insert a text box onto the dashboard. Alright, now we can begin inserting the KPI values into the text box. We will retrieve the values from the cells where we have created the sum function, and place them in the designated area within the text box to display the KPI values. Great. Let's also modify this. We can also resize the text box to ensure it fits nicely and is visually appealing. Great. Now we can position the text box, with the KPI value, in the designated location within the dashboard. Before we proceed, let's first check the background color. Let's select the desired color. Excellent. Let's change this. Let's click on this. That is fantastic. I will need to change one more thing. That is awesome. I'm gonna move this to desired location. I would like also to change its font. That looks much better. Now, let me copy this. I'm gonna place it here. That is fantastic. Let's do that one more time. Let me quickly rearrange those KPI cards. That is great. Now, I will add proper data to those visuals. Let's delete this. After that, I will choose cell where our data is stored. Let's click on this. Excellent. I will need to copy this style. That's perfect. I'm gonna quickly do the same for other two KPI cards. Great. We've successfully completed our KPI cards. Now, it's time to begin creating charts for our dashboard. I'll guide you through the process of selecting the chart type. First step is to select the data. After that step is completed, we can insert the chart. We will go to the Insert tab in the Excel ribbon, and click on the desired chart type from the available options. Let's do the same for our next chart. Excellent. I'm gonna also change the title. I'm gonna insert one more donut chart. Process is the same as the one for previous charts. Let's modify the color. That is fantastic. I'm gonna also change the title. Now that we have completed that, we can move on to the next step. Let's place our charts in desired locations. Excellent. Next, I will remove legend. That's perfect. I will also remove this background. Now, I'm gonna rearrange those charts. After that, let's modify the color. Let's change the color for this visual, to make it more visually appealing and aligned with our overall dashboard theme. Let's select the desired color. That's perfect. Let's do the same for our next chart. That is awesome. Let's proceed to our next chart. Process is the same as the one for previous charts. First, let's select the data for our chart. After that, we will go to the Insert tab in the Excel ribbon, and click on the desired chart type from the available options. Let's click on this. I'm gonna also change the title. Excellent. Let's move on to creating the next chart for our dashboard. We'll follow the same process as before, selecting the appropriate chart type, choosing the relevant data, and creating the visualization. Remember to consider the purpose of the chart and how it contributes to the overall story and insights we want to convey through our dashboard. That is fantastic. Let's change this. I'm gonna also change the title. Next, I'm gonna move this to desired location. I'm gonna place it here. I will remove legend. Next, let me resize this. I will also remove this background. That's perfect. I'm gonna make this bold. Let's also modify this color. That looks much better. Let's continue modifying. Let's modify the color. And that's it. Let's continue working. Let's also move this chart to our dashboard. I'm gonna place it on desired location. First, let's change this. I will also remove this background. That looks much better. Next, I'm gonna make this bold. Let's modify the color. That is awesome. Let's also modify this color. That looks much better. Let's do that one more time. That's perfect. Let's move on to creating the next chart for our dashboard. Let's select the data for our chart. Now, I'm gonna insert bar chart. Okay, great. I'm gonna also change the title. Let's modify the color. Let's also move this chart to our dashboard. I'm gonna place it on desired location. First, I will remove legend. Next, I will remove those grid lines. After that, I will also remove this background. Amazing. Let's resize this a bit. Next, I'm gonna also change the title. After that, let's modify the color. That is fantastic. Let's insert our next chart. As usual, we will first select data. Then we will choose desired chart. Perfect. Let's modify the style for this visual. Next, I'm gonna also change the title. After that, I will remove legend. That looks much better. Let's also move this chart to our dashboard. That is fantastic. I will also remove this background. Let's change the color for this visual, to make it more visually appealing and aligned with our overall dashboard theme. Now that we have completed the creation of this chart, let's move on to the next one in our dashboard. Let me first select data. Next, I'm gonna choose chart. This time, let's use this one. Let's modify the style for this visual. Next, I will remove legend. After that, I will remove those grid lines. Excellent. I'm gonna also change the title. That's perfect. Let's also move this chart to our dashboard. I'm gonna place it here. I will also remove this background. Next, let's also modify this color. Fantastic. Let's proceed with adding the final chart to our dashboard. Let's select the data for our chart. This time, we will insert line chart. Let's also move this chart to our dashboard. Next, I will remove those grid lines. I'm going to also change the title. After that, I will also remove this background. That looks much better. Now that we completed that, we are almost done. Let's change the color for this visual, to make it more visually appealing and aligned with our overall dashboard theme. That is great. Last thing I would like to do is to add those nice data labels. With all the required steps completed and all elements added to our dashboard, we can confidently declare that our dashboard is now finished. Congratulations on successfully accomplishing the task. Well done. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.